please stand with us. Will be led in prayer by Alderman Gallagher. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Will be led by Alderman Payne.
Heavenly Father, Lord, we ask you to be here tonight and to help us make wise decisions as we go forth with the city's business, Lord. We also ask you to be with our children, Lord, as they begin to get ready to go back to school, Lord. Lord, I pray for safety in the schools and for you to watch over our children. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mike, does the volume sound right back there? Chris? I'm just turning it up here. It seems like there's something different every meeting. There's something different with this. Is somebody playing tricks on me?
It is this week. Tell me the question.
No.
What's it on? Actually, it's working. Okay, just trying to test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. Test. That's good.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, we're ready. First on the agenda this evening is approval of minutes for the July 2nd, 2019 meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the minutes of the regular meeting of July 2nd, 2019 with any additions, deletions, or corrections. Second.
We got a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Brooks. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks?
Yes.
Alderman Kelly?
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne?
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher?
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler?
Yes.
Alderman Flores?
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is our amendments to our employee handbook. Mr. Chris Wilson.
Mayor Board, this is simply going to be the adding comp time as a policy in our handbook in lieu of overtime pay. Meeting with several employees, we used to have this policy, we did away with it, simply putting it back in accordance with FLSA and DOL regulations. Meaning if someone banks overtime, they can take it at the time and a half comp time instead of in lieu of pay for overtime.
Chris, will they have to cash it out within
You
a
have
year?
12 months to use it, the 12 months when they bank it, to use it within 12 months, but it still will be there. It'll just then revert to overtime or hours earned under, should they leave. In accordance with, when you leave, you get paid out up to 160 or 240 for firemen, so then we'll revert back to that.
So if they don't use it within 12 months, then it's cashed out as overtime?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good, so we won't.
They have to be compensated for their hours worked. in other
Right.
words.
We're not going back to the scenario of they got it 10 years ago and they banked it at
No.
one
No,
rank.
no, no,
and then
no,
now
this
they
is not
bank.
adding anything banking, because that could be banked at a higher rate, getting,
Right.
yeah, all
Right.
that we're doing, right.
So that was the reason we had actually done away with that before.
Right, and if I may, I'm the one that brought this. The reason we want to do this is just to give more flexibility for our employees. Also, it could potentially be save the city money in overtime pay. The goal here is not to go back, revert back to the program the way it used to be when I came to work for the city and was aware of that. I hated that because that's not the purpose of comp time. The purpose of comp time is to allow people to take a break, to spend quality time with their families, take a break and get away from it, which makes them a more productive employee. So if you're banking it, for 8 to 10 years, it's serving no purpose, and that's what was going on in the past. This is not that. There is a 12-month limit. It's just designed to give more flexibility, specifically in our police department, since we have high overtime in our police department. So, having a 12-month time frame on that will eliminate it becoming what it used to be.
It does accrue at 1.5 hours for every 1 hour of overtime, which would be the cash conversion time and a half.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make the motion to add the comp time amendment to the employee handbook.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Hoots. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Anything else? The other thing, just, it's not prepared tonight, but there's been some discussion with our handbook about visiting our tattoo policy. So we are working on that, but we had hoped to have something prepared for tonight's meeting, but there's a little more research we need to do. But by the next meeting, I'll have a recommendation for this board to look at revising our tattoo policy and employee handbook. But if, really, I have nothing else to add, so if you don't mind, please no questions until I have more information on that. So we'll move on. Next on the agenda is authority to advertise for our budget hearing and budget adoption.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve authority to advertise for budget hearing and budget adoption as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion?
What are the dates?
Chris?
The advertisements will be, and again, this is that strange law where you've got the two conflicting laws, but advertised in 4 weeks, August 6th, 13th, 20th, and 27th, with the budget hearing on August 20th.
Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a contract with AT&T. Mr. Chris Shelton.
Mayor and Board requesting your permission tonight to sign an agreement with AT&T to move our current Caliber public safety software, which is the mobile cop software that runs in our patrol cars. We've reached an end of life with the equipment that we're running in the servers at this time, and also on the versions of the softwares there, so it's time for us to move up. This contract approves for them to migrate all the existing data and licenses to new servers. A lot of enhancements with this, but if you're familiar with mobile cop, this is what allows our police officers to be able to receive calls in the field on their MDTs, and also to be able to run tags, driver's license, and things like that. Several improvements and more stability over what we have today. And this is also part of a larger project countywide, where the 911 Commission has approved to and signed contracts to upgrade everyone's CAD system in each of the dispatch centers. So the new CAD is necessary for the new mobile cop and vice versa. So this would be in the amount of $30,846. It includes the migration and also training for the new software.
I'll make the motion to make the agreement with AT&T for the CAD software.
Second.
Who's signing the contracts, the mayor or Chris?
Yes, sir.
Gotta add that to the-
And allow Chris and or the mayor to sign contracts.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Brooks. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then next on the agenda is an agreement with Entergy.
Again, Mayor and Board requesting your permission to sign an agreement with Entergy. This agreement is to give us as a city permission to mount equipment onto existing energy poles. Specifically, this mimics a lot like what we did years ago with Magnolia Way, placing equipment on their poles. It's just an agreement like that, but this is for our SkyCop cameras. We have a couple of cameras to deploy right now, and of those being deployed, there are 2 that will need to go on existing energy poles, saving us the cost of putting new poles up. These will be metered when they're on their poles like that. And this is for the Brookhaven Park and for Cherry Valley.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you, sir. Okay, next on the agenda are change orders for our term bid contracts. Mr. Dan Cordell.
Mayor, Board, thank y'all. In August, our term contracts expire for paving, our public works, emergencies, and utilities, and pavement preservation, and our striping contract. I would like to, and I need to do them individually according to Nick, ask for y'all's, this is also the last year of our renewal, so beginning in March, April next year, we'll be back to advertise, request approval to advertise, and go out for bids on all of these again next year. The first one I have up is for our striping contractor, Riverside. We're asking for a board approval and authorization for the mayor to sign a 365-day extension to that contract.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries.
The next contract we have is our annual asphalt contract. This is with Lehman Roberts. It is for us them to actually supply us asphalt at the plants for our own crews and for their installation on our projects, which is a component of our city overlay projects. I'm also asking for board approval for an extension of that for 360 for another year and authorization for the mayor to sign.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries.
The next one, also a component of our citywide paving or improvements program, is our Vance Brothers contract, which is for surface pavement surface treatments. It also is an extension for the 1 year period and the last one, so I'm again asking for y'all's approval and authorization for the mayor to sign.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries.
Thank you. And the last one I have is our Public Works and Utilities annual term contract, which is with Tri-Pharma Excavators. It also is an extension for a 1 year period in the last year of its contract. Asking again for y'all's approval on extension and authorization for the mayor to sign.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Kelly, second by Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you, sir. Next on the agenda is resolution to claim private property.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt a resolution granting authority to claim private property presented on this date.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion among the board? Is there any discussion from anyone in the audience that has a financial interest in any of the properties?
Mayor Brooks.
Please come forward. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Ravonna Griffin, and I have an interest in a property located in Cobblestone that's on that list. It's lot 13. I was made aware today, recently, that apparently the notice went to the previous owners and not to us. So I'm requesting more time to cure whatever the issue was with the lot and that we be noticed.
Okay, well, yeah, if it can be resolved, so what is, Austin, what is the issue with that property, please, sir?
Well, I believe, I don't know lot 13, but I know, excuse me,
Sorry.
we met in traffic today.
Literally.
And so I started researching that property, and looks like our GIS hadn't updated at the time, and we sent out a letter to North Mississippi Community Bank, and I guess that's who you bought it from?
Yes.
Yeah, so, we were gonna take it, off the cut list and give her an opportunity to cut it. But it was too late to take it off the condemn list, so we were just gonna go ahead and condemn it tonight.
Are you gonna, is it just tall grass?
Yes, sir.
Are you gonna cut the grass?
Yes.
Okay, is there a motion to remove this?
I'll make that motion to amend my original motion to exclude that. Remove that one.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Brooks to remove it from the list tonight, second by Alderman Gallagher. Any discussion?
Do we need to know which property is on the parcel, or?
Yeah, he just, we note again, it was lot 13, is that right?
I have the parcel number, but I can,
Andrew, would you note that in the
Yeah,
minutes?
I'll just need that from you.
okay.
Thank you.
I'll
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming forward. Okay, is there any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks?
Yes.
Alderman Kelly?
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne?
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher?
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler?
Yes.
Alderman Flores?
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Is there anyone else in the audience that wants to discuss a property? Okay. Yes, sir. We were, by the way, the last vote was to remove the old one, not to complete the list. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Mayor, Alderman. My name is George Baha. I'm the commander of Southaven VFW Post 10567. And this VSW has been a proud part of this community since September of
Excuse me, sir.
1988. Yes, sir.
Right now on the agenda, we're just talking about condemned properties. Did you want to speak on the citizens' agenda?
Oh, no, sir. That'd be wrong.
Is this regarding a condemned property?
No, sir.
Okay, we're going to come back to that. We're just talking about condemned properties right now.
Okay.
We have another, on the agenda, we'll have a citizens' agenda, so we'll bring you back up then, okay?
Oh, I'm sorry.
And that's my fault. I should have clarified that. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Okay, so is there anyone else in the audience that wants to speak regarding any of the properties on the condemned property list? Okay, hearing or seeing none, to approve that resolution, roll call, please.
Alderman Brooks?
Yes.
Alderman Kelly?
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne?
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher?
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler?
Yes.
Alderman Flores?
Yes.
Okay, and that motion carries. Next on our agenda is our planning agenda. Ms. Whitney.
Yes, sir. Our first application is a conditional use permit for a reader board sign to be located at 1407 Church Road. This is going to be at the New Hope Baptist Church, which is going to be on the south side of Church Road, just east of Sweeting. What they have submitted, which you'll see in the digital photo on there, message of reader boards must be located below the actual signage, utilizes secondary signage. Lettering in the district cannot exceed 8 inches in height and designated as amber, gold, or white. You can see by their submittal that they have submitted a compliant sign, and we're requesting approval of the conditional use permit. It's a two-element church, basically.
It's on the south side of the church.
Mhm.
It's either George's or.
I'll make the motion, we approve item number 1 on the planning agenda.
Second.
On item 1, we have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Brooks. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks?
Yes.
Alderman Kelly?
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne?
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher?
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler?
Yes.
Alderman Flores?
Yes.
That motion carries.
Our second application is a request for a conditional use permit at 6582 Getwell Road North. This is going to be in the Southaven Marketplace subdivision, which will be on the east side of Getwell Road, south of Goodman. Per conditional use requirements, facilities such as these can be located no closer than a half mile on each side from an existing similar business. We did do the window survey. The three closest facilities ranged from a half mile to over a mile, which means they are compliant. We're requesting a conditional use permit for 1 year with a 4-year extension to be renewed annually.
Mr. Mayor, make that motion. Second.
On item 2, we have a motion by Alderman Wheeler, second by Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries.
Our third is similar to the last one. It is a request for conditional use permit for what is being called a nail bar, which is essentially a nail salon, at 1079 Main Street. This will be on the south side of State Line Road, west of Mill Branch. Again, a half-mile distance on each side. Rule comes into play. The two closest nail salons in the vicinity are ranging anywhere from 3/4 of a mile to 1.5 miles away. Therefore, it does comply. We're asking for a 1-year conditional use permit with a 4-year extension.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve item number 3 on the planning agenda as presented on this night.
Second.
On item 3, we have a motion by Alderman Kelly, second by Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries.
Our fourth item is an amendment to the existing Cherry Hill PUD, which is completely built out on the south side of Rasco Road, just east of Sweeney. Previous to this application, we did do an amendment to take in some additional acreage on the north side. This will encompass both that acreage we've already added in and some additional acreage they were actually able to capture along Sweeney Road. Basically, it's 28.685 acres. They are submitting the same PUD text from the square footages and the lot sizes all the way down from the existing subdivision, so nothing will change. It's just an extension to the north. We did have some comments regarding some open space and some detention areas that we're going to work through with the applicant. There is a few concerns we were going through. There's a 3-to-1 slope along Getwell or along Rasco Road, which means the fence will be right up here and the houses will be down here and you can see the rooftops. Obviously, that's not something we want, so we're asking them to find a different way to work that engineering magic and make those come back up to at least as close to street level as we can get. We're asking them to put a point of entry on Sweeney Road that's actually a boulevard, so it can be calculated as 2 access points for the fire department. They conceded to that. And then we're asking them to look at some interior open space, because as of right now, there's not enough open space to meet the 20%. So there will be a revision to ensure that that open space is in play. We're asking them to kind of put an open park system in the middle, so they're redesigning that. And with those comments, Planning Commission voted unanimously in favor of it.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve item number 4 as presented on this night.
Second.
On item 4, we have a motion by Alderman Kelly, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries.
Okay, our last application is a tax incentive request, our West End District incentive package approval for the existing Wendy's you see across the way at 880 State Line Road. As you can see right now, it's kind of boarded up and shut down. Originally, they came in to do some renovation work on the inside and the outside. Once we got in there and tried to get it in compliance, it just was a little too far gone. So we spoke with the owners of it and explained the tax incentive program we've got in play. They really liked it. Their decision now is to take it completely to the ground and come up with a brand new Wendy's. What you'll see up there is the prototype we're looking at. The improvements to the site will be estimated at a total of $1.935 million to reinvest in there. So we're looking for approval for them to start the West End District program.
I'll make the motion to approve item number 5 as presented.
Second.
That's great.
We have a motion on item 5 made by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Hoots. I'll start the discussion. Hey, awesome, one at a time. Hey, for all the critics of the West End Business District, it doesn't happen overnight. You don't change 30 years of change. You don't bring back 30 years of migrating business in 1 year. It takes some time. We made progress. We continue to make progress. That's a beautiful Wendy's. I mean, hey, some people may, just sneer it. It's a Wendy's, but hey, it's a brand new building in our original business district, which will, continue to snowball. We've had businesses that have stepped up. They've renovated their buildings. We're gradually, one at a time, bringing back our original business district. So I'm pretty fired up about that. So outstanding. And again, kudos to the board. The West End Business District, we did that, I believe, in 2014. And again, it doesn't happen overnight, but you're seeing an incentive there that worked. They could have easily just gone in and did what they had to do, the basics,
Right.
to get by, but they didn't. They took that incentive and they're building a brand new building. So I think that's outstanding for our city.
Yep, I agree.
Wendy, I want to tell you, thanks, great job on that, for suggesting that.
Yeah, we're excited. We actually have a gentleman in the audience who doesn't want to speak. I'm sure he's just here to make sure it happens, but they worked really well with us. They really have, and this is a lot more money than they were putting in to do the compliance retrofit. They finally just saw it as a better asset to do this, so we were really excited.
And thank you, sir. We appreciate that. Okay, any other discussion on item 5? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you. Next on our agenda is our mayor's report. We had several things. I'm going to try to move kind of fast. I have a large number of things. First of all, Alderman Flores had asked me recently about the new power lines that went up in front of Silo Square on Getwell. Obviously, we had preferred to keep the skyline clear. Y'all may remember about this time last year, Whitney and I had met with Entergy, and we were very disappointed. We wanted to have underground power lines there to keep the skyline clear. They went through and did some work, reported back to us, just kind of explored other options throughout the state to see if that could be done. They came back to us and indicated that that could not be done, that the power lines, that they do not pay to put power lines underground. They reported to us that if the city wanted to pay for it, we could do it. It was in excess of, it was seven figures plus. So we didn't feel like it was worthy to do that. But just want to make sure I update everybody. This was what we discussed, and that's why I was very upset. Just not upset, just disappointed, because I feel like it is a negative. But anyway, just want to report back to you now that the lines have gone up. I know that Alderman Flores has been contacted by some citizens expressing concern about that. I share that concern. So the decision is if you want to, go spend 7 figures and go underground with it. I'm assuming Whitney is still an option. We could go back and do that. So, but anyway, just report to the board. It's out there. That's why they're overhead lines. But if y'all want to revisit that discussion, I'll be glad to arrange that and lead that. But just wanted to clarify in case you have other contacts by our citizens. Is there any other discussion on that one, Ryan?
No, we're good. Thank you for addressing that.
Yes, sir. Okay, and then last meeting we talked about the State Line Road resurfacing. Just to recap that on timelines, just real quickly, we know it's a major problem. I continue to get questions about that, like why would I pay Greenbrook Parkway and not State Line? And again, I'll just say this clearly. The streets in the city are paved generally by our annual street improvement line. When we get into arterial roads, large projects like State Line and our big arterial roadways, we look for co-op funding that's available through federal and state programs. And at this time, we're in a situation where, considering all the other projects that are going on in DeSoto County, we compete for that money. Metropolitan Planning Organization money is sent to a metro area, so we all compete for that money. We have a lot of things going on in DeSoto County and the Memphis Metro, so we've gotten our share. We've got several projects that are on there and are funded. The biggest one will be the Getwell widening project that will be under construction either late this year or probably next year. Is about a $9 million project. So we've gotten our share, but I tell y'all that to say that there's no more money left. So if we want State Line Road done, It's going to be 100% city funded. We have the money in excess unassigned fund balance. And so at our last meeting, y'all voted to approve that. So we're moving forward with resurfacing State Line Road, which is in horrific condition. The timelines on that, we do have one culvert that we've got to fix before that, because we don't want to go and mess the road up after we put new pavement there. So we're going to do that first. That will be in the Green Brook Lake area. As soon as that's done by our term bid contractor, we will start resurfacing. We expect to see contractors working on State Line Road within 30 to 45 days. So it definitely will be something that we'll be able to get done before the weather gets cold this year. Okay, and just to be recorded in the minutes, board's familiar with the fact that we needed to buy about 4 acres of property on Snowden Lane for our soccer expansion, and the board approved that recently. Andrew, if you'll just record in the minutes, I did sign that contract. The city paid $110,000, and for that, that will allow us to have a soccer entrance, our road to come off of Snowden Lane, which will be more efficient for the rest of our park improvements, and so it was crucial for that reason. But if you'll just record in the minutes that I did sign that contract. I just recently changed my contacts. Y'all just kind of forgive me. I can't see anymore. Okay, another update. For the first time in the history of our city, we're going to have a pro tennis tournament at our new tennis complex coming up in August. This is one that used to take place in Memphis, and because of our outstanding tennis facility, they indicated that they felt like they could bring a large draw to Southaven. And I'm trying to find my dates here. Hang with me. Okay, so the week of Monday, August the 12th, that entire week there's going to be events every night at the tennis center. There's going to be 80 professional tennis players that are on the cup. They're like semi-pro. They're competing for a chance to go to the U.S. Open in New York. So this Southaven tournament is that significant. So there's going to be 80 players that are definitely will be future stars. There will be household names. So you can see those at the Snowden Grove Tennis Center here in Southaven. So we're pretty fired up about that. We expect that there'll be about 2,000 extra visitors to our park that week, which, as y'all know, provides a real quality economic impact to our city. But also it creates interest when you bring pro players to the city. It makes a big deal to the younger players that are out there. When they come out and see the pro players play on the same court that they're playing on, it just gives a little added incentive and motivation for them to continue their development as tennis players. So that's going to be a big deal for our city the week of August the 12th. We're going to try to publicize that a little more, and Chris Shelton, you'll help us, please, sir, with getting that word out on the website and through our social media outlets. Okay, we had one other issue that came up recently. We had a request from Area 14 at Snowden Grove. This is a gated community. When we have a gated community, we're not bringing public vehicles on the streets, obviously because the gate is closed unless it's an emergency type situation. They requested, because of all the rain and the heat, that they're having a mosquito problem. So they requested that we bring our spray trucks through their gates and spray their community. And so I need board approval to do that. I recommend that. If y'all will approve that, I'm asking for a motion to allow us to spray for mosquitoes in Snowden Grove Area 14 gated communities.
Second.
I got a motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Wheeler. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Okay, next tonight, as y'all know, with the, or you may not know, I guess now's a good time to share some bad news with you. It has rained a lot in 2019. When you have real grass baseball fields, you can't play when you get excessive rain. So I hate to tell you that we've had a terrible year with park revenues because of the rainouts at Snowden Grove Park. It's been challenging for us. We still have hope that if the rain will stop, that we can continue with the Dizzy Dean World Series, which is underway now. We have many people in town to play. They have been delayed, but we're still hoping to get that completed. Some other things, as I mentioned with tennis, we've still got some hope to bring that back. But the bottom line is we had a tough year. The baseball rainouts have hurt us. The reason I tell you all that is it is a hot topic, as most of you know, with youth sports, to go to turf fields. Everybody here knows I'm a baseball guy. I don't like playing on turf. Okay, I played on turf. I like playing on grass, but you can't deny the benefits of turf. Okay, so when people are traveling to come here and it's Thursday and they're going to travel for 3 or 4 hours to get here for a Friday night game, you can bet they're checking out the weather forecast. And if they know we have grass fields, they know what that means. They know that it's very possible that we won't play. So what happens is they cancel early before they get here, which doesn't give us a chance to get the tournament in or to at least have as many teams in that tournament. It's become a financial thing. Our competitors that for years have looked at Snowgrove Park as a model for youth baseball, which that's a fact. I mean, you look at Oxford, you look at Jackson, Tennessee, Cordova, a lot of the area parks still view Snowden. They may not admit that now, but at one time they viewed Snowden as the model. And I guess the good news is we're the model. The bad news is our competitors are catching us a little bit. So I tell you that to say that we've got some financials put together, and that's something that I'll bring back before the board to consider making a decision to go with turf fields. It is expensive to do that, but the lost revenue, the potential increased revenue does make a lot of sense. We'll revisit that on another occasion. But until then, it's the recommendation of our Parks Director, Wes Brown, that he and Alderman Brooks and Josh that does the maintenance at our park, that they take a trip to Atlanta. There's a special new turf that's out, and they want to go to Atlanta and check that out. And so I'm asking for a motion tonight to authorize that travel.
So I'll make the motion. Second.
Okay, motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Payne. Is there any discussion?
Is that the new fields, new perfect game fields? Not
There-
perfect game anymore, it's something else.
Well, the Lake Point
Yeah.
complex that for Perfect Game is in Atlanta, but no, this is another, actually a vendor that's going to do a display. Isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion?
Were we looking at doing this at the Greenbrick softball?
Both, yeah. If we did it, we would do it at both complexes. So we would do all of Snowden Grove, and then we would do the Greenbrick softball fields as well. So it would be something that it would involve a bond. We would borrow money, and we would fund that with the increased revenue and the saved revenue, that we're losing now. But we don't have the final numbers, but I can go ahead and tell you, it's north of 300K that we're down because of the rain. So it's something to think about. And I know this is not the first year it's rained in a baseball season, but this just happens to be a terrible year, combined with the fact that teams have other options. So 3 years ago, if they were looking at going to Snowden or Oxford, they would prefer Snowden. Now, if there's rain in the forecast on Wednesday and they got Snowden or Oxford, they're going to Oxford. So that's why it's hurting us more now than it would have been 3 or 4 years ago.
Have you got a ballpark on what we're talking about?
I have the numbers. Wes and I have roughly gone over the numbers, but I want to tune that up a little bit before I bring it to y'all to make sure that everything is tight. But I'll have that to you pretty soon. We can start that
Save a lot
discussion.
of money too, though, on mowings and fertilizer.
Well, and that's part of the benefit is you're gonna cut, basically you have no dirt. So you have most of the, on a baseball diamond, most of the maintenance is chalking the lines and dirt work and the batter's box and the pitching mound, then grading and then, dragging the field. So you eliminate all that. So you save a large amount of money in maintenance costs.
Part of it is they'll give us a presentation of how it works, so it'll be a complete breakdown. So we'll be able to bring it back to the mayor and to the board to share all that, so.
But yeah, Alderman Gallo, you're exactly right. That's part of the cost benefit analysis is the amount of money we would save in maintenance. in addition to the opportunity cost of rainouts. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Okay, next, recently we received bids for the Central Park Snow Grove Park multi-use trail. Again, just real quickly, this is about a 7-year project. We've had lots of roadblocks along the way. It's being funded by MDOT. But when we got the bids, one of the changes we had to go through a couple of years ago is we couldn't get the proper right-of-way, so we had to change the route. And the route was going to go down to Central Parkway from Tullahoma and then go back to Getwell and then go north. When we got the bids, many things changed in pricing since this project was initially designed, and the bids were much higher than what we expected to be because the route is bigger. MDOT will not, it's an 80-20 thing, but with the increase in bids, they have a set amount of money. So any bad news that you get with the bids, unfortunately, it's your bad news. It's not MDOT's bad news, it's our bad news. So instead of taking that big hit, which is going to be about $600,000 difference, Mr. Dan Cordell went back. We looked at doing a different route, and so now we believe that we can do a more efficient route by going May Boulevard instead of going all the way south. If you envision going southbound on Tullahoma, instead of going all the way to Central Parkway, now we can hit May Boulevard, which is going to be cut through due to Silo Square. They already had plans to put a multi-use trail in there, so we can combine with that and shorten the route and save money. So we feel like that's a better alternative than taking the 100% of the hit. The reason I tell you all that is we need to reject the other bids, and then we're going to go back and rebid that project again with the new route. So is there a motion? Dan, do I need a motion to authorize for the new bid as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and, if I can for now, just give me a motion to reject the old bids.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Payne. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Miller.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Now can I have a motion to bid the new route?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Miller.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. And that wraps up my mayor's report. It was real short tonight, wasn't it? Okay, next on our agenda is our citizens agenda. We're going to have multiple people tonight. First, we'll go with we do have Supervisor Bill Russell and Supervisor Mark Gardner with us. If you guys would come up first, I would appreciate that.
I think Supervisor Gardner wanted to speak about something else, just
Hey,
real
it's
quick.
an honor to be here. We need to learn how to have a shorter meeting. I can learn something from you guys. Thank y'all for what you do. I know it's not easy. I know you get a lot of calls. And, as a citizen of Southaven, I do appreciate y'all. I just wanted to echo something that the mayor said. I wanted to applaud y'all for your vision on tennis. As a past president of the DeSoto County Tennis Association and an avid tennis player, we'd always said if you build it, they would come. And you did build it, and they're coming. And you go out there. My grandkids are in junior tennis out there right now, and Michael's got all the courts full. The vision you had for not only building it, but hiring a quality director of tennis is paying dividends. And I just want to thank you all on behalf of the 1,000+ USDA members in DeSoto County for doing that. And, it's going great guns. And I'm playing the Pro-Am. I won't tell you if I'm playing as a pro or an am, but I think you can figure that out if you see my games.
Thank you for saying that.
And we deeply appreciate you guys taking your time. I know how busy you are. I didn't realize you were that busy, but pretty obvious that you are. And I don't know if you noticed, but out of respect, we dressed alike for y'all.
I did. I was about to say, where'd you get the uniform?
I almost left. They're not county issued.
But guys, what we're here to talk about tonight is House of Grace. You know, I've been on the board of supervisors for 16 years, and honestly, I've not had anything that I feel like is more important come up than this time with the House of Grace. I think you all know, I've talked to some of you, I apologize to the ones I haven't gotten to, but I'll make myself available at your wish to meet with you, and as will Supervisor Gardner at any time. The House of Grace is in financial difficulty. I think we all understand how important House of Grace is to this community. You know, we're going through the same thing you guys go through. I've talked to all the mayors. We're all in the same boat about charities. We're getting covered up with requests from charities, and our board is actually trying to cut back, as I know your board is too. But there's two organizations in this county that I feel like are really important, almost extensions of our law enforcement. One is House of Grace, and the other is Child Advocacy Center. I'm not going to talk about the Child Advocacy Center tonight, but I think you all know about it and how important it is, and you'll be hearing from them, I think, in the future. But what's happening with the House of Grace is a series of things. I'm not going to go into an awful lot of detail, but I'll tell you this. We all know that they've had problems with their accounting structure. But what I didn't know is that the problems that they've had with their grants administration. Right in the middle of their difficulty last year, the grants organization, which is an arm of the health department in the state of Mississippi, had a fruit basket turnover. They didn't release any money for about 6 months, even though you qualified for it. They had a complete turnover of personnel, and they couldn't do anything. During that time, the House of Grace really fell on hard times. They still had to meet, they still had to serve the women and children. They still had to pay all their bills. So they made a series of loans from people. Right now, they've got better than $150,000 worth of loans that they have really no way to pay back right now. Now, since then, since the grants organization has gotten straightened out, they've released their grants. They qualified for all the grants. They're released. The basic problem is right now that these are all reimbursable grants. I know y'all have some of those. We do too. We've got a stash that when something like this happens, we can reach back in our reserve fund and we can pay our bills, but until those grants are available. But what you have to do is you have to pay the bill, submit the payment, and then be reimbursed. They didn't have a reserve fund, so they can't pay their bills in order to be reimbursed right now. So it's kind of a catch-22. It's a pretty ugly situation. We wanted to make sure when they came to us and asked us for assistance, we've been through this for a number of years with House of Grace. We tried our best to help them, but we felt like they really needed a serious audit. We didn't want to do anything until we got the Secretary of State to do an audit, and they did. We asked the Secretary of State to come in 6 months ago and do a complete and thorough audit. Now, what the Secretary of State does is they audit whether or not they're in compliance with the Secretary of State's rules and how they're operating. They don't do a pennies, nickel and dime financial audit. Well, when we got the audit back, they had a series of findings and questions and suggestions on what they needed to do go forward. So I've got that report right now, and I didn't make a copy for everybody, but I've got a copy for the board, and I'd like to give it to you for a minute. Also, I've got a copy of the House of Grace response to that. Now, after they made a response, on the back, on the last page of the Secretary of State's audit is the final letter from the Secretary of State. And that's what you've got. Did y'all get your handouts? Okay, that number one, the one I've got numbered 1 in the top right-hand corner, is the final letter from the Secretary of State, which says, based on the information reviewed during the examination of your response, the division is closing this examination. They didn't find any charges. They didn't find anything wrong. What they found, there are concerns about the way they're operating. After we got that, I was a little disappointed that they don't do a financial audit. So when we got that report about 2 months ago, we asked our CEO, Andrea Freeze, I think most of y'all know Andrea, to meet with them, and she met with them 5 or 6 times and went through their books one line at a time to make sure that everything was in order financially, as far as the money was where it was supposed to be. The good news is there's no money missing. It's just, there's a lot of basically poor accounting principles and overreaching their mission. They were trying to do some things outside of their mission to help some other organizations and some other people that really didn't fit within their mission. That also it caused them to get more in difficulty. So anyway, that's I'm going to give this to you, and I'm sure your office will make you a copy if you want. And I would welcome your accounting people. Andrea will meet with anybody. We've told all the cities that if your accounting folks want to meet with Andrea and go through these reports. But we basically told Andrea is really good. You know, she's got all the licenses and education in the world. We basically told Andrea, until you grace this, as far as accounting principles and success going forward, we can't help them. And she did. But what she came up with was this is what they need to number one, restructure their debt and start paying some of these debts off, and to move forward and be successful moving forward. So so that's where we are with them. Now what we're asking from the city is this on sheet number 2. What we did is what Andrea determined is that they need $90,000 this year. That will help them start pay the debts that they have to pay this year and get on track to with a schedule of paying these debts off to be debt free next year. We need $90,000 this year. They need $90,000 this year, and they need another $90,000 in our budgets from next year. So what we did is we took that figure and we asked them for an accounting of who they serve. They serve 10 counties. DeSoto County, and you see the list here, 9 other counties. What Mark and I are doing is we're going to all the cities, we're going to visit all these other counties. We're sending all of them a letter tomorrow and explain to them what the situation is. And to raise this money, we just divided it up percentage-wise on service. DeSoto County, for instance, the DeSoto County residents received 20% of the customers last year. Now there's an additional 4% that these organizations help each other. There's an additional 4% that didn't come from any of these 10 counties. They helped some women from Jackson. They helped some families from Arkansas. So there's another 4%, and the board decided that we would cover that expense as well. So we feel like our share is 24%. So what we asked our board to do was, we don't want your money right now. What we want is a commitment that if everybody does their share, that we will pay our share. So that's what we're doing right now. We're going around from city to city and county to county, asking that you pay your share if everybody else does. Now, if we don't get 100% compliance with this, then they're probably going to have to shut their doors within a month. That's just a fact. The bank has extended them. The rental property, that's been extended now for about 6 months, and they're going to call those loans. And these folks that have loaned them money, there's a church, and there's another group of families out here that have loaned them money that are going to need their money back. So they served 246 women last year with their children. This count is not just women and children, it's women with their children. Now, just kind of help you understand what they do. They take these women, some of them they'll take for 2 or 3 days if they can find some other place that'll take them. The maximum they'll take them is about 3 weeks. During that time, they've got to have 24-hour coverage in the house. They've got to have 24-hour counseling coverage. They've got to have counselors for the kids. They've got to represent them in court when they go to court. Now, if these ladies, and go back to that situation, I've been asked this before, If they go back to that abuse situation, do they take them back? And the answer is no. They have taken some ladies back and helped them who went out on their own and were still struggling and needed a little more help. But if they go back to that abuse situation after the counseling and after the help that they've given them, they can't take them back. They just don't have the manpower to do and the place to put that many people. So what our board said was, we committed, we took a vote 2 weeks ago, we committed $21,500 for this year. We're taking it out of our reserve fund. And we committed $21,500 in our budget next year. Now, what we're telling them is, number one, we're gonna tell you how to spend that money. And if your accounting department wants to be a part of that, we would welcome it. But we're gonna help you restructure. And we're gonna, and the money for next year, and I think Southaven already does this, is gonna be allotted in a monthly allotment. So that, you know, if this thing starts failing, we can cut it off immediately. But so far we've gotten a hard, firm commitment from Horn Lake and Hernando. So we've got 3 commitments right now. And these commitments are that we will commit our money if everybody else will. So basically, that's where we are today. There is a list. Number 3 is just a list. They have caught fire. This has gotten their attention. They've got a lot of people. In that report is a list of their board of directors. And I think y'all will know most of them. They're really honest, hardworking, sincere people. They realize, you know, the difficulty that they're in right now. They're also so passionate about this, they're not giving up, but they need some help. And these are some things, some fundraisers that they're doing within the next couple of months to help raise money for next year. And I'll tell you, the way Andrea has set this accounting up, if they're successful, if their grants continue, and they're successful with their fundraisers that they've had for the last few years, they won't need our help in 2 years. This should help get them this is $180,000. If they spend it wisely, this should get them out of debt and on the road to recovery. So this is what the ask is. I understand we've been working on this for 6 months. We went to the Secretary of State's office 6 months ago. We got the report back 2 months ago. We've been working on our financial audit for 2 months. I understand that y'all need you probably need some time to think about this and to look through it. But my ask is that please, we've got to have an answer by next month, by your first meeting next month. We're telling the counties that, these other counties, and Olive Branch is getting the same message tonight. So if you can help, then please do. If you can't, we understand. But I don't know what we'll do without this organization, because if you talk to the police, these families have nowhere to go. This is all they've got. When these women get beat up and you know, you can't visit the place, but I know some of them personally. Mark does too. And if you've seen them and seen the pictures they carry around with them of their black eyes and their busted lips and their abused children, then your hearts go out. So that's what the ask is, Mark.
And I just want to echo what Bill said. You know, we do a lot by committee. We're the committee, but you can see Bill's been carrying the water on this for sure. He spent a lot of time on it, making rounds with the cities and the counties, and this is just what our board was unanimous on this. If everybody will do a portion, we'll do our portion, and we want to balance. And we did. And Raymond and I talked today. We adopted a philosophy a few years ago that we've been cutting back nonprofits 10% a year, and over 10 years we were going to wean them all off, and that included them. We were at one time at 30,000, and then the next year we dropped for House of Grace. We dropped back to 27,000, and next year we dropped that another 2,700 and got down. And so we still plan to do that. I don't necessarily think it's government's role to fund all these nonprofits, and that's our philosophy at the county. This one is somewhat unique, and as he said, the Child Advocacy Center, because our Sheriff's Department takes a lot of people to the House of Grace. Our Sheriff's Department and y'all's Police Department takes children to the Advocacy Center. So those are services that we might be providing by government if there weren't good, solid organizations to do it. And the first thing we wanted to do was make sure there's financial accountability. And all of you know Andrea Fraze, and she has been over this and given us a clear audit report. And she's gonna hold their hand through, she's basically gonna hold their hand through the process. What I was telling Alderman Flores today, you know, our contribution, we'll give them 1/12 of it in October, and 1/12 of it in November, and 1/12 of it in December. And when Andrea hands them the check, it's gonna be pay this bill, and this bill. So it's not gonna be a hands-off approach. And again, y'all's financial staff is welcome to have a part in that with us. But that's where we are. You know, our heart goes out. We're making the rounds, and we just want to appeal to you. And if you can't or you don't feel led to do so, that's fine too. We're all still friends. We're going to work together on the next project because we've worked together on plenty. And I'll say that I think government that works together is better. When city, county, state, federal government can all work together, we can accomplish a lot more. And this is one of those cases.
Well, thank you both for coming forward tonight and presenting that, and specifically with your you know, your zeal, you know, to help the organization. We know that there's been some struggles there, you know, for a little while now. So I appreciate all your efforts, and you know, it's a lot of effort to do what you're doing, to go around to that many board meetings and talk to that many people. So you obviously, your heart's
A lot more than I thought.
Yeah,
I got into this.
Yeah, I can tell, but you've obviously worked hard, and it means a lot, and I appreciate y'all coming forward and doing that. And we will make sure that we have follow-up, you know, to let the board give that some thought, and we'll make sure that we keep that on, you know, put that on the agenda for the August 6th meeting.
And again, any of you guys who would like to meet with us individually or meet with Andrew, we'd be glad to meet with you. We have to.
Sounds good. Thanks again. Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for the time.
Yes, thank you. Okay, and then, now I apologize, with the VFW, I forgot what your name was, I'm sorry. Would you come forward now?
Yes, sir.
I apologize, what is your name, I'm sorry?
I'm George Blaha, Mayor. Seems like I've been here before. I am the commander of the VFW Southaven Post 10567. And this VFW's been a proud part of this community since September of 1988. We also want to thank the former city officials for naming our street Veterans Way. We appreciate that. The location of our postal is somewhat obscured from the general public because we're kind of located in the far west end of the street, kind of like a horseshoe drive. There we're sitting in the middle. It's kind of like the pot and the meat's all in the middle. And nobody can kind of see us from Highway 51 over there. And we're asking the Citizens Representative Board for direction or advice, basically concerning what we can do within the city ordinance. I'd like to install, and we'd like to have a flag, pole, or a sign directing the citizens of our community to our location. Whatever direction that this board can give the post toward this situation would be greatly appreciated. As you know, we're a nonprofit organization of veterans. We perform many charitable functions and services to several individuals and organizations within our community. This is our service, this is our motto, this is what we do. This board's expertise and knowledge of our city as to what is possible would be greatly appreciated by the veterans of wars of our community. And I would thank you for whatever you could do to help our organization, because we definitely want to be a part of this community, and we want this community to know where we're at. Thank you.
Yes, sir, and may I ask you a question? First of all, thank you for your service, and I appreciate you being here tonight to speak on behalf of the veterans. Specifically what you're asking, are you talking about a sign or a banner on the building? Or are you talking, you mentioned like visibility from Highway 51, are you talking about a sign on Highway 51?
Yes, sir, like a sign on Highway 51, or a flag like you have West End, East End, something like that, a flag that could go on one of those utility poles with their direction showing our post.
Okay,
Going over there, right by Veterans Way.
okay.
Yes, sir.
And then would you need one on, because it is a horseshoe drive, would you need one on State Line too, or are you just talking about? Is
Just the one
51
on State
better?
Line.
I'm sorry, 51 or State Line?
Actually, State 51, sir.
51 would be better, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, we'll check into that, we will. And would you Whitney, would you write his contact information down? Whitney Cook is right there at the front desk. Would you give her your phone number and email address so we can reach you?
Yes,
And
sir.
we'll do some research on that and see what we can do, and we'll follow back up with you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak on the citizens' agenda? Okay, I don't see anyone wanting to speak, so we'll move on. Next on our agenda is our personnel docket.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the personnel docket as presented on this date.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoover.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Okay, next on our agenda, city attorney tonight. We're going to pass that. Okay, so then we move on. Next is our utility bill adjustment docket.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the utility bill adjustment docket as presented on the same. Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoover.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on our agenda are our two claims dockets. Is there a motion to approve docket one?
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve docket number one in the amount of $2,951,290.99, including demand checks.
Second.
On docket one, we have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoover.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Is there a motion now to approve docket two?
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve docket number two in the amount of $315,013.06.
Second.
On docket two, we have a motion by Alderman Payne, a second by Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries on docket two. Okay, next on the agenda is we need to determine if we have a need for executive session.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Brooks. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, the motion carries. The need this evening is economic development within the city. And then personnel department-wide to follow up on the employee survey that was done a few months ago. And is there now a motion to declare executive session?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Wheeler. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. The mayor and board will now enter executive session.